Well, good. What is this? Wednesday. Good Wednesday, everybody. And we're reading through First Samuel. Where's it? Second Samuel. Second Samuel 5, and First Chronicles, chapters 11 and 12. All these numbers. I'm not a numbers guy. So all is well. There's this huge loving that's going on with David. All these troops and everybody come to make David king after 7.5 years of ruling in Hebron. They've come to make him king over all of Israel, and it's a great loving, and all these people are coming, and all is well. Big celebrations, big party. Then David goes and he conquers the city that will become known as the city of David. It becomes the capital of Israel. It's where the temple ends up being built. There's materials for a palace that are donated, and everything's looking great. But every time everything's looking great, every time there's victory, the enemy tries to undermine victory. He tries to take away the joy. He tries to sour the occasion. And so the Philistines come to town, and they come in great numbers, but they've never fought against somebody like David. David's not afraid of them. And David's not alone, and David knows he's not alone. He's not alone because this is David of the sheep pasture. This is David who took out lions and bears. This is David who took down a giant because he knew that he wasn't alone. He knew he was never alone. And so he inquires of the Lord, will I defeat them? And the Lord says yes. And not only did he do it once, he did it twice. And he inquired of the Lord both times because he knew he wasn't alone. And so he vanquished the enemy away from his joyful moment. He says, no, I'm not having any of this. Be gone. And he kicks him out of his kingdom. And the building process continues. And this is what we have to keep in mind all the time. Every time we have a victory, don't go looking for the enemy. He's gonna seek you out because the enemy wants to undermine your victory. He wants to undermine it. He wants to get in there. He wants to rob you of your joy. He wants to do all that. But you don't worry about him. You don't become conscious of him. You don't go looking for him. When something joyful comes in, when you get a victory, you don't start looking around for the enemy. You don't do that. You stay centered on the Lord. And if the enemy shows up, then you inquire of the Lord. Is this for me to deal with, or are you taking care of this? And then the Lord will give you instructions, and bang, you do it. You dispel the enemy. You get rid of them. Or you sit and watch the Lord do it if the Lord says, nah, this one's on me. However it's done, we don't focus on the enemy because the enemy is nothing. And it's like terrorism. When we stop doing what we normally do, it's like, now listen, I'm not going to judge the Christians in Sri Lanka. This is not intended for that. But I just want to point out that because everybody stayed home, and wisdom says, they haven't caught everybody yet. We need to stay home so nobody else dies. But when we stay home, then the terrorists win. That's their great victory. To interrupt us, to cause us to fear, for us to change our behavior. In North America, they have taken great strides to make sure that never happens. That we will continue to go about living our lives normally, no matter what, because we're not going to let the enemy win. And we as Christians, we need to see this. We need to understand this. The enemy's not going to win. I am not changing my behavior. I'm not staying home because I'm afraid of what the enemy's going to do to me. I am gathering with my brothers and sisters, and I'm going to worship. I'm going to pray. I'm going to dance. I'm going to sing. I'm going to celebrate who my Lord is. Again, please don't take this as a slight to the Sri Lankans. I'm not in their shoes. I can't say that. I just know what the enemy's trying to do. And he's trying to disrupt us. He's trying to discourage us. He's trying to fill us with fear so we'll stop doing what we do. And David wouldn't do that. David didn't do that. And he dispelled the enemy because he turned to the Lord and said, what do I do here? And that's what we need to do. So that's my point. That's what I'm trying to underline here. Check with the Lord. You're not alone. You're not in this alone. You're never alone. Check with the Lord. You'll be blessed, encouraged, and keep on celebrating.